Hey guys, welcome back to Etheria Restart. In today's video, I want to talk about the perfect lattices or the gold cubes, whatever you want to call them, the items that are used to skill up your SSR units and the thought process behind using these. So when I'll do SRs next, I think SRs are a little bit different, but with the SSRs, we've got about a day and a half left on the free, not the free resets, but the paid resets if you want to do it. So if you feel like you want to shift some around, now is sort of that last chance to do it. So yeah, here is the event. I thought I'd just chuck this in editing in case anyone was not sure about the reconfigure event. You can see it's got 1 day. It's about a day and a half left. Your first one is free. I did my Lian to get those skills back. Now, just note with Lian, you've got to do the Lian missions up until getting her 5-star, level 45, and 2 skill ups into 1 skill. Once you do that, that is where there is no more specific upgrade Lian to X missions, and you can reset her to go ahead and get those cubes back to invest into someone else. Now, once again, this is only available for 1 more day. I mean, I'm kind of hoping they extend it and give us another free reset because it goes 2468, I believe, on the cost. 246800. And I'm hoping they give us another free one and extend it because all anyone is talking about in the community at the moment is the change with Aurora now being immune to poisons. People were building for poisons because it was really strong in there in the beta. And now poisons don't work on Aurora. So I feel like for the people who have built poisons and now it's no longer viable, I feel like giving a free reset is perfectly reasonable to think might happen, but who knows? Maybe if you only not got it on your account. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do with that. I think a better fix would to be make some way so that poisons are somewhat viable so that you can still build the character and they're not just like, oh, this boss says you can't play the game. I don't know. It's one of those weird ones. Poisons are always awkward in these games, so we'll have to wait and see. But I'm waiting to see if they do have a response. Basically, just watch this space and I'll keep you guys updated on anything going on over there. And let's all copium together for a selector because I'm always coping for a selector because I really want to get my team out, but I really want to closs. Anyway, back to the video. But I want to go through the SSRs first because I feel like there's more flexibility in the SRs and there are actually a different progression path that I take with the SRs. So let's talk about the SSR gold lattices. So with these ones, the first thing is you don't have to upgrade every skill on a character. That is the first thing. Make sure you're taking a look at the key things, which are not only what the skills enhance, but also the extra stats that you get. If you look at my account, the one that I've upgraded is my Lily. My first priority, I think this is a no-brainer for a Lily player, is her skill 1. Gives her the increased speed, and then also gives her the increased chance for an ally to assist to 100%. This is one of those ones that I've known through every beta coming into the game. If I get a Lily, this is going to be the first skill that I skill up. It's just so usable and she is usable everywhere, which leads me to the next thing. The first thing is you got to consider what the skill gives, but also some situations, the stats. Because if we look at something like the Freya, if you are planning on using Freya as like an arena cleave unit and you're trying to outspeed your opponents, well, then you'll have to do her skill 1 because her skill 1 is going to give her that speed. And it's also giving her the increase to her gauge manipulation, which is going to help you get the rest of your team across the line to go ahead and attack. So you got to consider where you're using the characters, and also what they get, not in only skill upgrades, but also in the stat upgrades along there. A lot of fast units, you will want to go ahead and target the speed as well. Now, the next thing is where can they be used and where do you prioritize? So for me, I want to be skilling up characters that can be used in a lot of different areas. And my main criteria for me personally is that hopefully I want them to be good in PvP as well, because eventually that is the end game of this game is the PvP. Putting skill ups to get through PvE content is perfectly fine, but eventually you're going to get through the PvE content, and I'd rather be slow at getting into Infernos by a week, but have long-term characters that I can use in PvP. So depends on where your priorities. If you're someone that doesn't care about PvP, well, then you're probably looking to just PvE characters, then it's a lot simpler for you. So if we take a look at my account, if I show you guys the SSRs that I currently have at the moment, and then we'll go through and I'll shout out some SSRs that I think would be worth skilling up. But over here, if you look at my account, we don't have too many. I do have Rilmoka. Now, I have put no skill ups into her. If you are someone who plans to use Rilmoka to farm Doki, then from what I've heard from people who have been using that method, you've kind of got to upgrade this to get it to be reliable and max this out. So if you do want to do that with Rilmoka, go nuts. Even though I have her, I am not going to do that because once again, I don't see myself using her too long term in PvP. I'm expecting a Hoyan to be the next banner, which is going to be, unless they've changed her, another green attacker unit. So I just don't want to hyper invest into a unit that's pretty much got one niche role to fill. If you're a whale, different, because you have more access. You can do this for the short term, get that benefit, boost your account, and then just put skill ups into other things. But for free to play, once again, free to play, if you want a stress-free life, then by all means do this. Do the real mocha. Clap through Doki. But for me personally, like I said, with PvP as my main focus, that's why I didn't do her. Now, Jada was another one I was super tempted to upgrade her skill to. It's basically 30% extra crit damage, extra, what is it? It's 369% attack, and then there's 6% crit rate in these, but the stat she gets along the way is also another crit rate. I think she's around 16 or 18% crit rate. So it's just a big stat boost for her, and I can use her in Doki Doki. I can then go ahead and use her in Aurora. But once again, with her, I feel like I don't see a linear path forward to make her completely OP in Arena. And because that's a highlight for me, that's why I'm trying to avoid skilling her up at the moment. So if I was focused more on PvE, I probably would do my Jada over my real mocha purely because I feel like I can use her in two different areas as opposed to the one. But that's the kind of thing that I like to weigh up. Now, as I showed you guys, I have done my Lily skill 1 and I made the decision to go ahead and do her skill 2. Now, this is not as no-brainer, so you don't have to do this one. I think, like I said, skill 1 for Lily is a no-brainer, but this one basically allows me to have on my damage dealer a 100% uptime crit damage buff. So when I looked to doing that upgrade on my Jada, I was like, oh, I could get her extra crit damage. I'm like, I can pseudo do that with Lily, but then this transposes over to anyone. It also increases the gauge boost, which I really like, and reduces that cooldown, meaning her speed buff is a higher uptime, which means now maybe I don't have to use so many of the Jackal Shell on my supports for the speed buff that it brings, because maybe my Lily's uptime is going to be enough to counteract that. So those are the kinds of things I was thinking through when I went and did the skill 2 on the Lily. Now, me personally now, I'm just saving my skill ups. I'm not going to invest into anything. I'm going to wait and see what the Hoyan banner looks like. If it is Hoyan, it may not be her, but I'm hoping for her, so I'm going to wait and see if that's something I want to skill up. Right now, I have only done Lily skill 1 and skill 2. And I am completely saving at the moment. Now, I just want to jump over and talk about some other characters that I see people skilling up and might be a priority for you. For me personally, now that I've done my Lily, like I said, I went a little bit further than I planned to with my Lily, but I'm pretty happy with my decision on the skill 2. But skill 2 definitely isn't one that I think is a must if you do have a Lily. It's once again what I'm experimenting with. But I do think that right now, I am not going to spend any more gold cubes because obviously we have Hoyan coming and I want to see how she is because I absolutely love the character. Well, I'm assuming we have Hoyan. That's not confirmed. I haven't seen an official post about it, but as far as I'm concerned, I feel like she is most likely to be the next character. So that is why I am going to be saving my cubes, see what she has to offer, and then decide on what I want to build going forward past that. Now, if we take a look at other characters, I think Mio, if you really want to use her for her strong usage in PvP, increasing her turn meter steal is fantastic. If you want to keep skilling her up to her cooldown reductions, that's also an option. But if you're just looking to get first turn and deny them, then having the extra effect on this is going to be a nice one to kick in there to get extra gauge stealing. So I've seen a lot of people go for her for PvP purposes. I think if you have a Messiah and he is your main DPS that you're building up, he's sort of just a really strong DPS and he's going to be usable everywhere. Plus he is really strong in PvP. Now I do have a PvP bias. I want to let you guys know that. So if something's not going to be good at all in PvP, I kind of lean away trying to skill it up, kind of like I did with my Jada or my real mocha. But this guy is an absolute monster in PvP as well. Plus he can deal massive damage in general across the board. So I do see a lot of people skilling up their Messiah to get to that extra 70% damage, defense ignore for the extra damage. I think this is a perfectly good one. If I had a Messiah, I would probably be looking at him next for that purpose. Or I may have done his skill 3 before I did skill 2 on Lily, just because he's such a universal damage for this early part of the game. And I don't see his value completely dissipating overnight. Even if we get power creep on enemies, he still ignores passives when he's attacking, and he still has the ignore defense. So I just think he does have some longevity inside the game. And like I said, being neutral element means you're good just about anywhere in the game. So I think that would be another option that you can look to if you do have the Messiah. And past that, it's basically just look at what you have on your account and what you are really using the most and what the most impactful upgrades are. Just keep in mind, there's two things that you do need to consider when you're going through this. That is not only the ability that you unlock, but also the stats you unlock. If you're looking at a gauge booster, let's say you're someone who wants to run a cleave team using Freya as your gauge booster, then you'll probably want to upgrade her skill 1, because if we go over here, her skill 1 gives her the speed increases, but it also gives her, if I could click the right thing, increases the, where is it? The turn meter effects provided by Dream Guide to 4%. So it increases the turn meter addition that she gets when your allies apply buffs. So anyone that receives a buff, they're getting more turn meter. So I think if you're looking at using Freya in arena in like a cleave comp to give the attack buff and boost your team, then her skill 1 is going to be a very high priority because it gives her speed buff, which lets her be more competitive in terms of speed rankings. When you look at her base speed of 126 compared to a Lily base speed of 127, there's not that much between them. So if you're going for that, it's 1, giving her extra speed, and 2, giving her extra gauge pushing. Keeping in mind that she is not the only one that pushes gauge. It's anyone who applies a buff that pushes your gauge up, and anyone who applies a debuff that pushes the enemy's gauge down. So that could definitely be another option. Another unit in an instance like that would be Tsukiyomi. Now, she is a little bit slower on the base speed, but she does have that instant grant turn for an ally. So getting her speed up would also be something that you could look to. The other thing that this does is it's pretty good in general. It increases the gauge push she does for the ally with the highest attack to 25%. So, I mean, that's pretty decent every time she does a base. You get her on that bramble and she's boosting for days. So that's just like another thing you can look at. But once again, if you're struggling with PvE progression, you can definitely look at characters you're using for PvE progression. Rosa is one of those ones who really wants skill ups to make herself more reliable on placing her debuff and then the damage she can deal. So you can look to something like that. Rosa, decent in PvP and also really strong in PvE. So she is another one that if you're using her as your main DPS, you can definitely look to. Now, we will be getting Ling Luo fairly soon. I will not be putting any skill ups into my Ling Luo. I think by having Ling Luo and Sanya, I should be pretty good. I just feel like there's going to be more important skill ups to do than Ling Luo, even though she is an absolutely fantastic character. So that pretty much sums it up. Any key support that you find to be used in a lot of areas and you're really leaning on, I think is great. And then any main DPS that you're building first is another great option. I wouldn't go spreading from one DPS to another DPS and half building them this early. Like I said, you kind of want to use units that you're going to be using in more positions than one. I ideally focus on units that can ideally be used in PvP, and that's why I went deep into Lily. But once again, it's sort of one of those things you can wait and see what the next banner is, see if the next character is something you want to invest into. But in general, you do have about a day and a half left if you want to reset a character and experiment with some stuff. I'm personally pretty happy with my decision now of doing the 2 skills in Lily, and now I'm going to hold out and see what I do next. But once again, there's no like linear right answer. Once again, if you're doing Remoka Cleave, that's going to be pretty important. Besides that, it's your main support, main DPS, trying to maximize that damage you can deal across the board. But once again, with your DPS, even though Jada can be used in 2 places really well, being Doki and Aurora, I'm trying to avoid it and get through without it because she ain't going to carry me in PvP because I do like that kind of thing. Once again, if I didn't care about PvP, my Jada would probably have her skill 2 maxed out by now. But anyway, guys, hopefully that helps out a little bit. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.